What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy and I'm coming at you with another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Hot Toys Plo Koon. Hot Toys really got me with this figure because before this one came out, they had already done both the standard and deluxe versions of the 104th Battalion Wolfpack Troopers as well as a Commander Wolf. So obviously this is a great addition to honestly complete that team. In addition to the team building aspect, Plo Koon was also one of my dad's favorite Jedi, and so I always was a little bit attached to him growing up. Plo Koon is a standard Hot Toys release here in 2026. I got mine through a pre-order through Sideshow.com. Sideshow is the place that I use for most of my Hot Toys orders and pre-orders. They have a great payment plan system as well as a great rewards system as well. They do lots of giveaways, and I highly recommend their service if you're a collector in the US. Plo Koon comes in the standard style of packaging for Star Wars Hot Toys. What you have here is a glam shot of the figure from about the waist up, and behind him is a drab black backdrop. This is what Lucasfilm mandates this kind of packaging be like for these premium Star Wars products. Down below the glam shot, we have a chrome Star Wars logo, and then below that we have a little wraparound banner that goes around the lid of the box. We have the Star Wars logo, and this is number MMS785. You have Plo Koon's name, as well as another glam shot, this time with his Clone Wars gauntlets. And honestly, I'm gonna be real, this is what got me to get this figure because this is an outfit look that is specific to the Clone Wars show. On this side of the box, we have just that little wraparound there with all the same information we saw on the front of the box. On this side, we have another glam shot of Plo Koon. This one looks really, really cool. A little bit more of a full body shot here, once again with those Clone Wars gauntlets. On the back of the box here, it's all the stuff that we collectors don't care at all about, all the legal information. On the top of the box, we have a Star Wars logo, and on the bottom of the box, we have another Star Wars logo. So with that wraps up the packaging on this figure. So let's get him opened and we'll take a look underneath the lid. The lid on the box lifts right off. There is no tape that needs cut or glue that needs removed. Underneath the lid, we have a nice little insert here, some really nice figure photography, once again with a glam shot of the figure, and you can see they have a really nice edited background with a couple Republic gunships back there. Imagine Hot Toys doing a 1/6 scale Republic gunship. I couldn't even imagine how large that would be. But again, we have the Star Wars logo and the name of the character there, and these inserts are always really cool. Underneath that, once again, no tape that needs cut, no glue that needs removed. We have the figure in all his glory in the tray with all of his accessories. So let's get Plo Koon opened and we'll take a look at the figure first. Alright guys, here is Plo Koon out of the packaging. Let's take a look up close and check out all that amazing detail. So when it comes to Hot Toys, they are known for their impeccable detail on their figures, but I think that it is definitely most apparent with a character like Plo Koon, a very unique alien species called the Keldor. This is a figure that has lots and lots of texture to his skin tone. You can see so much, not just sculpted, but also very intricate paint detail on the head here. Looking at the sides of the head, that is just so impressive there. All the detail you can see with the little bits of the ridges there that almost have like a wash applied to them, where the paint sits really nicely inside those grooves, adding a lot more depth to that alien detail. If you look at the top of his head, he's got some insect-like features to him with all of the little bulbous pieces here, and also the kind of carapace look to the top of his head. The back of his head looks great as well. Again, just a nice wash on all of the skin tone here. You can also see tiny little printed features on the back of the head there too. Lots of very subtle detail that really adds a lot of depth and realism to this character. So something to know about the Keldor species is that they wear these goggles and these breathing apparatuses on most other planets because they can't actually breathe the air on most planets that are not pressurized the way that their home planet is. So if you were to remove the mask and the goggles, this guy would look completely different than he does. However, this is a really cool mask here. Now, the pieces on the front, these little mandibles, they do not articulate, but they are pretty stiff in a good way so that they won't bend when the figure is getting moved around. I will say though, they did a great job in making these pieces that protrude over to the mouthpiece very flexible. As you can see, I can move them around and I'm not worried about them breaking. They have a lot of pliability to them. What I will say though, regardless, is just be careful vehicle with thin plastic pieces like this, it's very easy to run into issues, so just to avoid that, make sure that you're careful. As far as Plo Koon's Jedi robes go, most notably in Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, he's seen with this big outer cloak that a lot of the Jedi wear, especially when they're perusing the Jedi Temple halls or maybe confronting a certain Chancellor. This is a really nice texture to it. There's a nice soft material, and when it hits the light, it's very, very nice. It gives a lot of depth with all the wrinkles and folds. What I love about Plo Koon's robe specifically is he has this big hood that goes up here. Now this is a wired hood, so there's a very thin wire that runs along the outside of the hood here. Nothing in the hood itself, but I think the idea is that you could get this to go over his head. The point of the hood does not seem to want to stay down very well, but it is still a really goofy looking design. And what else I love about Plo Koon's outer robes here are these tassels, I'll call them, on the front. These extra little layers. Most Jedi robes in the prequel trilogy don't have this, but these have that same thin wire that runs all the way along the outside and up in the inside here. Nothing at the bottom side there, but it is nice to have that ability to move these around and get some nice windswept posing. Aside from those two pieces, I don't really notice any wires on any of the rest of the cloak. I don't mind that at all with the sleeves because the prequel Jedi sleeves are supposed to drape, so this gives a nice feel to that. Also, they did a good job of making the sleeves nice and long. On these Jedi cloaks from the prequel trilogy, they typically were very long and would cover the Jedi's hands completely. The particular hands that come with Plo Koon out of the box are a very splayed look, so that might affect why his hands are sticking out, but I would imagine if he had a fisted hand or maybe a little bit more of an idle hand, that those would be hidden by the sleeves much better. Now, a lot of times the prequel Jedi will also be wearing the cloaks but have them open, so you'll notice that there are a couple little snaps here. I'd be careful with these snaps when removing them just because they are stitched on but very, very delicately, so you don't want to risk ripping the fabric when you're taking this off. So there are two snaps that hold this together here. There's one that kind of brings it over to the right side of the torso. That way it stays nice and form-fitting. Then there's one up towards the collar here. If you unsnap these, you get a nice open look to Plo Koon's robes, but it also makes it so that you can remove this outer cloak and you are then left with a design which really reminds me a lot of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace here, with just a very basic inner tunic here. Taking a closer look at these tunics here, you can see that there are even more snaps to remove this outer tunic. That's probably going to assist us in getting him his animated Clone Wars look. We'll cover that more later because that is technically an accessory included with this set. This outer tunic has some really nice textured detail to the fabric. You can see it's stitched very well, and he's got a nice little turtleneck underneath there. You can see the shirt fits very nicely. It is not stitched at the bottom or anything. You can see that he does have a full layer underneath this shirt here, and you can also see that he also has some pants here with a nice elastic band around the waist to give it a nice form there. You can see that this is again in the same fabric, just in a different color. What I really want to draw attention to though are the hands. Just like the head, we have some really, really nice painted and sculpted detail here. The skin is done very, very nicely. I also like that the sleeves for the most part stay right here, so even though the wrist pegs and the body underneath are done in black, and I will say with a figure like this, I would have preferred that everything be cast in at least a similar color to the skin tone of the figure, but you can see he's got some really, really nice basic paint work done for the very long claw-like fingernails and the nice piece in the middle here for the middle finger, I guess I'll call it. Very, very ornate, some very nice detail, and these fingers are very, very malleable, so you won't have any issue. If this figure, God forbid, were to fall, you won't have any problems with that. What I love about the boots here is that the way that they did them is they gave them these nice, I'm guessing these would be pleather pieces like that cover the shins here, and this is really, really nice as opposed to just doing one big sculpted boot. It's got a very, very nice leather-like texture to it. The stitching is done very, very expertly. It's got a nice wash to it as well, as if he's been on some missions or he's been wearing these for a while. They sit really nicely too. They give a nice form to the lower leg, and they did a good job of color matching here between the boots, which are done in plastic, and the lower legs. It's a very, very nice design. And the boots themselves, you can see they don't have any tread in the bottom of them, but they are sculpted very, very nicely. They have that faux leather look to them as well. And actually, the more I'm messing with these, it feels like the boots themselves are also done as pleather. So it's like, this is just the level of detail with Hot Toys. You don't even expect it if you're a Star Wars action figure collector, but Hot Toys never ceases to amaze me. They always blow me away with the detail. So even though it's pretty basic detail on the figure, I would say that it's pretty well done. Now, taking a look at the articulation on Plo Koon, it looks like at the head here, the head and the neck neck are all one piece. That's completely fine, especially with a character like this. The ball joint at the neck does get you some pretty decent range. I will say with mine, it does get a little stuck, so just be wary of that. You can get Plo Koon to look down, not really much. You can get him to look up a little bit, which is good. You can get some nice tilt out of that head, especially, that's very nice, and then some nice right and some left. At the shoulders here, we have an interesting setup here. So we have a movement like a butterfly joint that can move forward and back, but this is actually just a circular motion. So you can actually roll the shoulders like a real person could. But again, it's got some really nice range forward and back. It's got some nice range up and down, I guess in and out as well. And then of course we have a hinge and swivel at the shoulders as well. So you can bring those shoulders up above the 90-degree mark with that hinge. That's really, really nice. And then we have a technically 360-degree swivel. However, with the limitations of the fabric, you're not going to be able to get that full circular motion. However, if you were to remove all the fabric on the figure, you could do that. We do have a bicep swivel on Plo Koon here, which is really nice. And then we have some, in the action figure world, we call these pinless double jointed elbows. As you can see, those have insane range, really meeting the limitations of the human anatomy. And then of course we have the wrist pegs, which are a swivel hinge system. So whatever way you have the hand swiveled, that will affect the way that the up and down hinge works. It's a very, very ingenious method, and I prefer it a lot over the usual hinge and swivel. So this is really neat. Plo Koon actually has two different ball joints in the torso area. One is about halfway through the torso, and then one is down at the waist here. So you can see that this one, I'm trying to isolate it here. You can best isolate it by twisting it left and right, but it does also have a little bit of tilt and some forward and back. The one at the waist obviously is going to have a lot more range of motion though, but these work really nicely in tandem to give you some nice twists of the obliques, just like a natural person would move. At the hips, we also have a ball joint. You can hear that that is ratcheted. No, the figure is not breaking, so never to fear. This is actually how it's intended, and the reason it's ratcheted is so that when you're posing the figure, especially more dynamically, it can be held up under its own weight. We have a thigh swivel in here as well, which is a great added piece of articulation. We have pinless double jointed knees, again pinless for the action figure world here. Those have insane range of motion, getting you again basically what the human anatomy can achieve. And then down here at the ankles, we have Hot Toys tends to go with almost like a barbell joint. So you have a barbell joint that one goes into the lower leg, one goes into the ankle. You can get all kinds of range out of that. Some really, really nice forward, some really, really nice back, good lateral motion in and out, and just really nice circular motion all around. So hopefully we should be able to get some really nice athletic Jedi stances with Plo Koon here. That's something that I always expect with Jedi figures, is athletic poses because of all the jumps and flips they can do. All right, guys, now that we've taken a good look at Plo Koon, let's take a look at his accessories. So one of his accessories, and I did allude to it when we removed the cloak and we saw this surprising tunic underneath here, was the look for that Clone Wars getup that we saw on the box. Now, this is hidden underneath the black tray that holds the figure and the accessories. I honestly, for a second, thought that maybe it was forgotten on my copy, so just look underneath the tray and that's where that can be found. And we will have the cloak in his Clone Wars look. So you'll see the hood is a completely different shape, and you can be able to actually put this up and over. It is wired the same way that the outer cloak is, where these tassels on the front are wired just on these sides, not the middle piece down here. And then of course we have wires that run through the edges of the hood as well to give him a nice draping look for it. It's got the same snap system as well, so I just already undid it before I showed it off here. So it's got the one snap that goes in towards the bottom here, comes across to the right side again, and then the one at the bottom of that V-neck collar. So getting this on, super easy. You can see that there are the sleeves here, which are stitched very nicely, by the way. And what you're gonna do, and honestly, I'd recommend just removing the hands, which, by the way, removing the hands, also very easy. Just apply gentle pressure, pull straight off, and those will come right off. Be very careful with those because they are prone to breaking. I've had Hot Toys that the wrist pegs have broken on before, thankfully, and we'll talk about that later. Hot Toys does account for that, and so that's great. But you can get this on. I usually just bring the arms behind the torso, as you just saw. It's a very easy way to get these on. So it definitely takes some fiddling with, but once you get it fitted nicely, this is what the outer cloak will look like with the Clone Wars look on Plo Koon here. I think it fits very nicely, and again, these have the nice wires, so you should be able to mess with them as you like. In addition to the baggie that holds this outer cloak, we we also get a belt for Plo Koon here. This is in a little separate bag here. The belt is done really nicely. It's got some nice leather look to it. Again, I believe this is just pleather, but again, it's got really nice detail to it, and it does have a Velcro system, so you can put this around his waist. And with the Velcro applied, here's what the belt looks like on the figure. I will say it's pretty loose when it's on the torso there, but that's honestly a good thing, because then when you're posing the figure around, you don't have to worry about the Velcro coming unglued from the belt itself, or really warping that fabric, or even risking ripping it. It's very good that they have a nice loose fit that still sits wherever you leave it. The more that I looked at the instructions for the figure as well, I did realize these outer tassels do also sit underneath the belt. And this does give it much more of a taut connection as well. Something else to note too is that that hood can go up very easily, and you can get that to lay pretty nicely. This hood looks a lot less goofy in my opinion than the one with the outer cloak there, and I definitely just prefer this Clone Wars look much more, especially because of my attachment to the Clone Wars show. Now, to complete this Clone Wars look for Plo Koon, we of course need his Clone Wars gauntlets. Now, these have a really nice wolf pack design on the gauntlets themselves. I love the maroon color that they went with for these, and the sandblasted weathering is just amazing as well. Interestingly, rather than going with just the regular theatrical forearms and elbow armor, they went with this one modified piece that we do see in the Clone Wars. This is taken straight from the animated style and brought into live action. Honestly, I could buy that the Jedi had slightly modified, unique armor in the live action world, so I could buy into this, but my headcanon, I always thought that the Jedi just had Clone Trooper forearms and elbow armor, but this is acceptable as well. Getting these on, also very easy. All you have to do is just, once again, remove the hand very gently, and you're going to replace it with the forearm here. Now, definitely try your best to get the sleeve not to ride up toward the elbow, because that is, as you can see, just going to cause a lot of issue here. When you're trying to get that hand back on, it's going to be a pain. So make sure you have that gauntlet pushed a little bit more up towards the elbow, and you don't have the sleeve bunched up too much, but once you have it on, it looks really, really nice and completes our Clone Wars look. Of course, as with most Hot Toys, and because we technically don't have a completed Clone Wars look for Plo Koon just yet, we need some swappable hands for our character here. So I'll show off the ones that would be on the Episode 3 or prequel trilogy version of the figure first. And the first set we have here are the C gripping hands. These are very nice for holding a lightsaber. As you can see, the skin is done very, very nicely on these hands as well. All the, I guess, veins, I would call them, are done very nicely. Once again, you can see the nails are painted, and the kind of little piece on that middle finger is also painted. This is going to be consistent between all the different sets of hands. In addition to the C gripping hands, Plo Koon also has a couple of expressive hands. This one is much more of an outstretched hand, similar to the idle hands here, but I'd imagine this one maybe is more of a force push hand, because it is just splayed out just a little bit more. This is only available for his left hand, and then he has another hand option that's only available for his right hand here. This one is, I'm not sure what this one is, maybe just a little bit more of an idle hand here for his right hand. I'm not sure otherwise what that would be for, but again, it's nice to have different expressions for the hands for the character. Now, specific to Plo Koon's Clone Wars look, we have the interesting additions of both the fingerless gloves, which are done in black, as well as the basic hand armor, just basically a square piece of plastoid armor. You can see that it's got that nice sandblasted weathering to match the forearms there, and of course we get a pair of C-gripping hands for the lightsaber with this option. In addition to that, we get some similar expressive hands too. With the right hand, we do get the force push hand once again, and the only difference here again is that he has the fingerless gloves with the hand armor. And then for the left hand this time, we have a little bit more of a gesture hand, not so much an idle hand. You can see the pinky finger is down here, but aside from that, just a nice little option here. I'm not quite sure what I'd use this one for either, but still a nice option to have. Now, speaking of Plo's lightsaber, we do get a couple accessories in relation to that. Here's Plo Koon's lightsaber hilt here. This is done in a nice silver base with some nice red and black paint applications for the buttons there. It's got a nice finish to it as well. It's very subtle, but when it hits the light, it shows a little bit of patina to this lightsaber hilt. Plo Koon is very old in universe, so to me it makes a lot of sense that he would have a lightsaber with a bit of patina on it. A very basic lightsaber hilt design, but again, this initially was just a background character, so I understand them initially not putting a lot of effort into his lightsaber hilt. Of course, we do get a lightsaber blade for Plo Koon's lightsaber. This is done in a nice deep blue and I feel like this is a lot deeper of a blue than they usually go with. I feel like that's something I usually have a complaint about with Hot Toys, is that they go with very pale colors because they want that light up effect on the lightsaber blades to work, but I feel like this one is a lot more blue than some of my other blue lightsaber Hot Toys like Anakin and Obi-Wan. It fits very nicely, as you can see, into the lightsaber hilt, and it of course passes the shake test. You also have the option, of course, for a swooshing blade here. So there's not really a leading edge to this, as you can see. It kind of fans out, but you can see the color makes it so that it's almost completely transparent on one end, has a little bit more of a blue hue, so this would be more of the swinging side here, where the leading edge, as you would put it. But again, very nice. It's definitely a little bit heavier than the standard blade, but doesn't feel like it'll be much of an issue in hand. Interestingly, Plo Koon does have a separate accessory. You get this little clip that goes on his belt, just a little silver piece here, not much to it, and this hangs right over the front of his belt like a nice little clip, and that is a great little addition there for the figure, just to give you another option if you want the lightsaber hilt attached to the belt. Now briefly, I did allude to the light up feature for the lightsaber, so they give you an additional hilt with a little cord here. I'll show you the power pack in a minute that goes with that. I personally tend not to use these. I just think that they're a little bit cumbersome. I would prefer battery powered as opposed to all these cords that I have to run underneath the character's clothing and into a battery pack and, you know, find a clever way to hide it. Aside from the wiring though, the lightsabers are done exactly the same detail-wise. You do get several accessories that go with the power-up pack there. So here is the actual power pack that goes with it. You can see the Hot Toys logo on it. Other than that, just done in black plastic. And then of course we have the clip, the C-clip that attaches to this to attach to the figure stand, and then we have another clip here where I assume you would attach maybe this to the figure, but it is nice that they give you a couple different options if you want to use it that way. Another great accessory that Hot Toys includes very, very regularly are these swappable wrist pegs here. These are great, and if you get more than one Hot Toy, you tend to slowly amass a big pile of these, so God forbid, like I had mentioned earlier, sometimes my Hot Toys do have wrist pegs snap when I'm fiddling around with the figures, so it's good to always have some backups, and Hot Toys is very consumer friendly for doing that. Then of course, finally, we do get our display stand for Plo Koon here. You can see it's got that nice Venator / Death Star flooring here, and it's got some nice scratching on the edges of all the floor panels here. You can see in a nice chrome finish here, the Star Wars logo with the name Plo Koon there. Other than that, a very basic design, but that's fine. We don't want to draw too much attention to the stand itself. What's cool about this stand is they give you this alternate topping here, and this is a sticker that you could attach to the top of the stand here for the Jedi Temple flooring. This is the Jedi Council chambers specifically because Plo Koon was on the Jedi Council, and this is just really cool. You can see all the detail here. You can tell the floor has aged. You can even see maybe some boot prints from Jedi walking to and from their chairs in the Council chambers. This would just go right over this. As much as I want to use it, I'm not going to, because it's not going to match the Wolfpack Trooper stands that he is going to be accompanying on the shelf. In addition to that, he comes with the crotch grabber style of stand here. So this has the wire piece that can be used to adjust up and down based on how you want the figure posed. This does come completely out. However, you can put it back in with no problem at all. This just attaches into the base of the stand. You'll hear it click into place, and then it is ready to go. So we've taken a look at all of Plo Koon's accessories, the figure and his articulation. We have him kitted out in the outfit style that I want him in for my display. So let's get him with accessories in hand and get him posed up. Something I will always caution to, especially a new Hot Toys collector, is to put the accessory in the hand first and then attach both to the figure. The wrist pegs will most commonly snap when you have the hand attached to the figure and you're trying to mash an accessory into the hand. Now, I must mention, I guess, the lightsaber hilt does fit nicely into the hand and it passes the shake test. Here's a pretty basic ready stance for Plo Koon with lightsaber in hand. The lightsaber looks great, and again, I do believe this is just a little bit of a darker, more vibrant saber blade color for the character, and something I'm very happy about. Here's a nice low athletic stance for Plo Koon with lightsaber in two hands now. What I love is how easy it is to bring his arms together and get that lightsaber into that two-handed pose here. The shoulder joints work exceptionally to get that kind of posing done. Now here's a really nice one-legged running pose for Plo Koon here. You can see he's got a nice center of gravity here. You can really get some dynamic dynamic torso movement especially. I think Hot Toys did a stellar job on this particular release of giving him just that extra bit of motion both in the shoulders and in the torso to really help get that dynamic, natural looking motion to the figure. Now, something about Plo Koon, I wanted to make sure I pointed this out in the review, is that in a lot of the solicitations, especially in the Clone Wars animated show, he is featured with lightsaber in left hand, and as a Southpaw guy myself, I think that's pretty damn cool. So really nice that they give you the opportunity to have this figure with the lightsaber in left hand as well. And here's Plo Koon next to another recent release. This is the standard version of the 104th Battalion Wolfpack Trooper. Technically, we talked about this in that review. This is Sinker. These guys scale really nicely together, and I can't wait to get Plo's bros all posed up on the shelf. Overall, guys, this is a really fun figure. This is the most fun I've had posing a Hot Toy in a really long time. While all Hot Toys are quite exceptional, this one really takes the cake. I really love that you have two completely different costumes. If you're a prequel fan or if you're more of a Clone Wars fan, you get your fix with this Plo Koon figure. Of course, the details both in sculpting and paint are masterful. Lots of soft goods features going on here that all blend together really nicely, and overall we have a near perfect figure in my opinion. But with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do here on YouTube, or you just want to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion. For just 99 cents a month, you get access to exclusive badges, priority replies in my comment section, you get to vote on what I review next for the channel, and you get to check out all my reviews early here on YouTube. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could always head over to the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off all units. Fire at will. 1-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. You've got to hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. I'm hit. Where's the reinforcements?